in her times of a trial, she did talk to this goddess of mercy, Kuan Yin Bodhisattva, which I think there's a connection because I also talked to this Kuan Yin Bodhisattva. Okay, and in the end, her message of that day, the talk, her message is to have hope and to find your own happiness, create your own happiness, and then because I add what today's talk is hope, happiness, and yoga. She is a yoga instructor, so let's take this opportunity and let her talk something about yoga. So let us give a hand to Yeshe Dolma.
Thank you everybody. I'm most honored to come here and share with you about what I experienced in life. Actually, it's just my humble sharing. Everybody is unique and special, and everybody has their own story, and everybody has their own wisdom and compassion, because all of us are Buddha, have Buddha nature. So this is just a small humble sharing of my life. I give a general background first. My name is Yeshe. I'm a certified yoga instructor, and I have many major illnesses in my life. First of all, in 1995, I was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and I'm still on medication and follow-up with a psychiatrist until today. As well as in 2014, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And also earlier on, for many years in my life, in my early 30s until 2015, I had a growth in my uterus. It's called adenomyoma. It created a lot of suffering in my life because every time my period comes, I'll be in pain and I cannot work, I cannot do anything, but I just lie in bed, keep on vomiting and cannot eat anything. So it was an illness that plagued me for many years. And finally, in 2015, I did a hysterectomy that to remove my uterus, and after that, I was much better to carry on to earn a living as a yoga instructor. So let me share with you my story. When I was young, I was actually very, very depressed as a child. As far and as way back as I remember, I could not feel any joy and happiness. I was not like other children, where they live in the moment, they play, they laugh, they fall down, hurt themselves, they cry a bit and they get up again. I was really very, very depressed. And now as I look back, I understood it's because my past life's karma was very heavily brought into this life. At a very young age, I was experiencing all these karmic seeds inside me, ripening and manifesting out in my mental continuum. And as well as I was born in... I was also born into a family where my parents quarreled and fight a lot. So my father was very abusive and violent towards my mother. But even though actually both my parents treated me very well and loved me very well. So even though I had many difficulties and problems in my life, I also had a lot of blessings from friends, relatives and family. So that's why it helped me to overcome so much. Okay, so I was very depressed because of the environment I was born into, plus my past karmic seeds from previous lives. And at the age of 10, the fight between my parents was so bad. My father wanted to hit my mother, so she ran away from home for a few months. And then she came back later on because of us. And my mother stayed loyal and true to my father to the last of his days. He passed away in 2015 at the age of 91. My father actually accused my mom of being infidelity towards him. But it was not true. All along, my mother stayed by his side to take care of him and support him. My mother was actually the breadwinner in the family. my father, after he lost his family business, he never got to work. At the age of 40-something, he completely relied on my mother to support me and himself and his family. So, and my mother never for once betrayed him. So it was all jealousy and all that from my father's side and his own insecurities. So then my mother returned and things got slightly better. My father didn't stop hitting her, but still there was a lot of struggles, emotional and mental going on between my parents. Because my father, he was very chauvinistic. He wanted to be the boss of the whole family, but yet he did not want to go out and work. And he had his own psychological issues, I suppose, that was not diagnosed, and his fear. Because my father was actually during the Japanese War, he was actually a Chinese communist guerrilla. He fought against the Japanese, and he even tortured and killed traitors and all that. So my father did a lot of this sort of thing when he was younger. And basically when the war hit Malaysia at that time, he was actually, I realized as I counted that he was only 19 years old and he had to face all these things. So I suppose he never healed from that, and that's why his violence continued. Yeah. So he was actually captured by the Japanese and tortured. Yeah, he was tortured, but somehow he was lucky. Through the help of a Japanese lady, his family knew he was being released from the prison and he was safe. He didn't die during the torture or during the imprisonment. And so for many years of my life, since I was young, I was emotionally very weak and very, very weak emotionally and mentally. The slightest thing around me would make me tumble. It's only through many, many years of going through all these trials and tribulations, it has made me a very strong person. Yeah, in 1987, my parents sent me to Singapore to continue my studies at the junior college and the university. So all those years I was still lost, confused and depressed. Very, very depressed, but nobody knew. Because I kept it inside my heart and I didn't ask for help and I didn't tell anybody. So when I went to PU, a lot of turbulence in my life, and finally when I went to university, I was facing a very, very down and depressive period in my life where I completely lost the meaning of my life. At a very young age, I wanted to kill myself. I had this suicidal thought of wanting to kill myself, but I didn't do it. But I always wanted to die. I always wish I would go to bed and never wake up. And when I was in university, I was faced with the most severe depression. And finally, in 1994, I graduated from National University of Singapore. I repeated 1 year because I was so emotionally down and depressed. I had to repeat 1 year. So I was finally graduated from NUS in 1994. And 1 year later, in 1995, I was hit and diagnosed with schizophrenia. Yeah. So that was strange enough. You think that is the worst thing that can happen, but it was when I'm being diagnosed with and broke down with schizophrenia. Strange enough, it was the first time in my life where I was finally only beginning to face all the problems from my childhood up to that day. It was the first time I was beginning to face all my emotional and mental problems. So I was all those years, I was sweeping all the dust and dirt beneath the carpet because I didn't have the courage and the ability to face them. So in 1995, all that exploded. Yeah, the pressure cooker completely exploded. And the whole world collapsed. My whole world collapsed. So I was under treatment in Singapore for many years, and I still continue to work. After taking off for 6 months, I went back to work, I went back to work even though I wasn't very well, but I managed to work superficially. And then in 1997 and 1999, I went to Nepal to my teacher's monastery, Kopan Monastery, Lama Kopan Monastery in Nepal. I spent 2 weeks retreat in 1997, and in 1999 I spent the whole month there. So that was the beginning of my effort that I wanted to put in my spiritual practice. but it's many, many years and of life of struggle trying to practice. I took refuge in the Dhamma, in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha actually in 1990. But for many, many years of my life, actually, I tried and struggled in my spiritual practice, but I could not practice at all. I tried many, many Dhamma doors, and nothing could help me. Yeah, so I put in more effort in 97, 99, and after I came back, every time when I'm facing my problems, putting effort in my Dhamma practice and facing my problems, the karma would ripen like hell. The karma really, really ripened very strongly. So after I came back from the retreat in the end of 1999, in the year 2000 onwards, it was many, many, many numerous relapses, uncountable mental relapses I had. In fact, all my life up to this day, the number of times I got in and out of the hospital due to my mental relapses is so uncountable and innumerous, I cannot remember how many times I came in and out of the hospital due to my mental relapse. And in 2000, and after years after that, around those few years, I met with one of my Tibetan teachers, Konchok Rinpoche. Now he has passed on. He helped me tremendously. Because during those years when I was having relapses, it was very severe. My illness was very, very severe. You cannot imagine how I looked and how I behaved as compared to now. You won't recognize me at all. Because I was completely mad, when I was in a relapse, I was completely mad as though I'm possessed, completely possessed and out of, completely gone and crazy. And when we are experiencing that kind of hell that time, during those relapses, the fear, the paranoia, the extreme emotions and the pain and suffering I feel was so bad that one moment of that experience is as though it is one moment of hell in all eternity. I felt as though it was eternal hell. That was the depths of my suffering. One moment of the hell felt like one moment of hell in eternity, as though it would never end and I would never get out of it. It was very severe. And it was only when I met Konchok Rinpoche that I got slightly better in the sense that the hell realm, so-called hellish experience was much reduced and much manageable. I didn't feel as though I was really in hell. I was suffering a lot and was still going through very serious relapses, but he took that hellish experience away from me. That I didn't feel as though I was in hell anymore. It was very, very challenging. But thank goodness in my whole life I met with very great and true spiritual practitioners and true Buddhist masters that really, really took care of me and showed me so much compassion and love and guidance. Even in 1970s, 97 and 99, Lama Sopa Rinpoche, he was so compassionate to me. He took me under his wings and took care of me. At that time when I was with Amitabha Buddhist Center, his center in Singapore, I was not close to any of the members there very much, except for one of the members, my friend Sam. It was really, really Rinpoche who really reached out and really, really took care of me. Where other people did not really understand where I was coming from and my illness and everything and my behavior. They felt probably I was strange and aloof and always in suffering, and they probably did not know how to help me and how to understand me. There was Rinpoche who showed me so much compassion and kindness. And then, after that, in 2003, I met with a psychotherapist from Australia. Her name is Tricia Wood. She gave a talk in one of the Buddhist centers in Singapore. And during the talk, she offered a scholarship in a diploma in holistic counseling in Australia, in a college which she set up herself. At the end of the talk, I shared with her my story and my illness, and asked if I could actually be given that scholarship to go to Australia for my own period. Very kindly and generously, she offered me the scholarship to go to Australia. At that point in time, I was very naive. I was under the impression that I go there on this scholarship and I'm asking for fish help to help me reduce my medication and get off the medication eventually, with that kind of idea in mind. But when I went there and spent about 8 months there, I didn't still spend 1 year there because the Australian immigration only gave me permit the very last minute because of my medical condition. They grudgingly gave me 8 months only to spend there for the course, and I arrived there late. So I was under impression that fish could help me reduce and stop the medication. But there was something very naive. When I went there and finally later on when I was there, I found out and realized from my experience there that nobody can take you in their hand to help you reduce your medication or stop your medication. Basically because it is your own health, it is your own body, it is your own life. So you are the one who is supposed to take responsibility for that. Not the doctor, not the therapist, not anybody around you. Not even your spiritual teacher can do that. So I realized that when I was there, and because of that, she taught me this lesson that I have to take this responsibility for myself, and that helped me tremendously from then on. And going to Australia and spending 8 months there was the beginning of me learning about self-care, which I did not learn and understand at all throughout all those years. Only then I appreciate and understood what it meant by self-care. Taking care of oneself, taking care of one's body and mind, taking care of one's life. So it was a very good experience there. And also there was also another turning point in my life, where it's the beginning of something good in my life. Even though I was still suffering a lot and was still having a lot of relapses, but still it was the beginning of something good in my life, a turning point towards the more positive, despite my suffering. So a lot of times in my life, I always remind myself of this message which I keep on seeing. Just pause and breathe. You are where you need to be. So whatever difficult situation you find yourself in, how painful and how difficult, pause, breathe, and remember you are exactly where you need to be. Because whatever pain and suffering you are going through now, it has a meaning and purpose. So pause and breathe, you are where you need to be right now. It is never wrong. So in 2004, I came back from Australia. I still spent some time in Singapore. And then later on, I bumped with a very good friend from my NUS Buddhist Society. He was my junior at that time. And he was a very good practitioner and very compassionate towards me. He and another friend from the NUS Buddhist Society helped me for many years in Singapore from then on. And he brought me and introduced me to his Sifu, his Chinese Sifu. That his organization was called Kuan Yin Chan Yin, under Quantum School of Zen, under Zen Master Seong San, Korean Zen tradition. So Sifu brought me to his Zen retreat center in near Desaru, Johor, and I spent 1 year there trying to practice. I was still called trying to practice because I still was unable. I was unable to meditate, unable to really chant, unable to practice. Every moment I was like sitting on hot charcoal, very fidgety and very tumultuous experience every single moment. So Sifu provided me with the physical help I needed, the physical support I needed when I was at the Zen Monastery Center in Pengerang Zen International Center in near Desaru. So I spent 1 year there, and I still was having a lot of relapses ongoing all the time. After that, I left the Zen Center after 1 year, and I tried to work in Singapore again. And all those years trying to work in Singapore from year 2000 onwards, I could not hold my job at all. I went from job to job. I went from one rented room to another, and every time I felt ill, I had a relapse, I was kicked out of the job. I was kicked out of my rented room, and I had to move from job to job. I had to move from one house to another house, trying to rent a place to stay. all those people, once I had a relapse, they could not accept it because in my job I did not reveal my condition, and in my landlord or landlady did not know my condition, and they let me stay. Once they found out, they just kicked me out. So I had to go job to job and house to house. And every job I only lasted, some was lasting 2 weeks, some 1 or 2 months, and that's it. I think even 3 months is hard to come by at that time. Even 3 months, holding a job for 3 months was hard to come by. So it was very tough. When I was actually in Australia also, I wanted to mention, I felt ill numerous times, and I was taken into the hospital there. And in one of the stay there, about 2 weeks, I stayed in Fremantle Hospital, and I stayed several weeks in Bunbury Hospital. In Fremantle Hospital, I met with a very kind and compassionate psychotherapist. I spoke to him about my relapse during that time, and I said that there's no way I can afford to pay for your bill as a foreigner in your country. So what he did was, he said to me, you do not need to worry because we understand you are a student there. So I will speak to the hospital administration to waive the bill. So the bill there came out to be 10,000 Australian dollars just for 2 weeks as a foreigner. And when I went nervously to the administration department checking whether I need to pay the bill, I went there and asked the staff there. She looked at me with such lightness and such joy, and she just offhandedly mentioned to me, no, there's no bill to pay, you know. It's like she very simply and very lightheartedly mentioned to me without being grudging at all about it. And I was so touched by their compassion shown by Australia. And in Australia also, I met with a lot of people, a lot of soul family or spiritual family. They helped me, they supported me, and they were my true friends, even though we just met, and they showed me so much love and compassion, and they gave me so much blessings in my life. I was so touched by many of my spiritual family which I met in Australia. And not to forget, Trisha Wood, she did actually offer me the scholarship there, and that's where I met with all these good experiences in my life. Yeah, so, and also then later on, okay, I came back to work, I still had numerous relapses. So I tried with the Kuan Yin Charlene, and I couldn't practice also the method there. I was using Kong An, using meditation, I could not practice at all. So I tried going towards Amitabha Pure Land practice. I tried following Indian gurus. All that, I just couldn't practice. Most of the time, I just couldn't practice. It was just stepping at the door of the gate of the Dharma door, and I never really stepped into the gate. I could never really step into the gate. Just struggling in my practice. But I never gave up in my Dharma path. Even though I went from one Dharma door to another, tried this, tried that, and nothing worked, I never gave up. I took a lot of breaks, but I never gave up on my Dharma practice, no matter how hard, how difficult it was. And I remember also when I was with my teacher, my Tibetan teacher, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, with Amitabha Buddhist Center in Singapore, it was very, very tumultuous. Every step I took forward to get close to my teacher, to try to learn and to connect with him, I will fall into the hell realms. Every time I make an effort to learn and go closer to him, I will fall into the hell realms. It's only last year that I got insight into why it was like that. Because I saw some of my past lives, and what happened was, in one of my past lives, or I don't know how many, I actually harmed my guru before. That's why the karma ripened so badly. So every time I tried to get near my teacher, I would fall into the hell realm. But I never gave up my devotion for my teacher because I never forgot his compassion for me. And after I came, about 2008, 2009 again, I tried other Dharma doors. And then finally, in around 2009, I was recommended to see a therapist which specialized in diet and nutrition. And I went to see her, and I paid a few thousand Singapore dollars just to see her and to go on her therapy. And it proved to be very helpful and effective. I spent about 21 days in her therapy. Every day I would go to her to take her nutritional drinks and supplements. It was juices with other supplements which she put inside. And finally, I felt at the end of the therapy session, towards the beginning of 2010, I finally felt ready to go back to Malaysia, to face my parents and to be with them. Because for many years of my life, I could not face my parents. I was trying to run away from all my family members, especially my parents. I did not feel connection with my parents or my relatives. I feel very estranged from them, and I could never imagine coming back to Malaysia to stay with them or to be with them. I felt it was too much for me to handle. But at the end of the therapy, I came back to Ipoh. That time my parents shifted from PJ to Ipoh because we are actually originally staying in PJ and KL. So they shifted to Ipoh in 2002 when I went to Australia. So in 2010, I came back to Ipoh to be with my parents and to be with them. It's also now, last year I went through, and also the past many years, on and off I had glimpses of my past, number of my past life, I had glimpses about it. So it's also last year I saw through some therapy session I had. It's not past life regression, but it's called linear releasing. I had 2 sessions with a couple from a German and Singaporean couple from Singapore, where they did bring me to my past life to release any blockages or anything that I could not let go and forgive, in order to help me to move on from this past life lesson. So the reason I saw that why I could not come back to my family, and why my mother was so kind and compassionate to me all along, even my father, despite his violence, that I could not return to them, was because in my past lives I had many yan yin with both my parents of this life. And I finally saw that last year during the linear releasing sessions. I had a lot of, between me and my mother, we had a lot of karmic debts towards each other. And that was why the lesson was so difficult and so hard to learn. So my mother is still alive to this day, and finally now I'm able to take care of her and to help her. I'm not sure how much help I can help her for her next life or as a Buddhist, but I'm trying my best and I keep hoping for the best. So in 2010, when I came back to Ipoh, Malaysia, I met with my teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh, when he came to Malaysia in 2010. Thich Nhat Hanh, when I first read his book many years back, Peace is Every Step, the very first book I read written by him, I was very touched by his message in the book. I felt that this teacher speaks with the voice of a Buddha. I felt very sure that this teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh, is an enlightened Buddhist master. When I read his book, I was very touched. And when I met him in 2010, I was very moved by the whole experience. And also at the end of 2010 and 2011, for the first time, I took my certification as a yoga instructor in KL. Also in 2011, again, I went for a retreat in Thailand with Thich Nhat Hanh. And I keep on writing to Thai, we call him Thai. In Vietnamese, that means teacher. So I keep on writing letters to him to explain to him my condition and all that. Actually, in fact, many years ago, when I struggled in my depressive episodes, I wrote him a letter many years ago before I even met him, and asked him to come to Malaysia because I would like to learn from him, because at that time I did not have the money to go to some village, France, to go and learn from him. So, and then finally in 2012, through the help of friends, family and relatives, I was sponsored to go to Plum Village, France, Plum Village Monastery in France to attend the 21 days retreat with Thich Nhat Hanh in Plum Village Monastery in France. And it was a very important period in my life. I was going through a lot of release. I cried and cried a lot, and I was going through very difficult episodes. But using the practice for the first time in my life, I used the practice and I was able to transform my suffering into joy, into peace, and into love. And I felt the peace, the joy and love during that period of my time there, where I was able to transform the suffering for the first time in my life. So then I came back at the end of the retreat, and in June 2013, I had my first batch of yoga students. So again, with the friends, with the help of good well-wishers, my NUS Buddhist Society friends in Singapore, they came up with a sum of money to help me start my own yoga center in Ipoh in June 2013 with the first batch of 5 students I have. Yeah, so I started my yoga center there, and it was the first time in my life I could do something which I really love and which I really believe in. Because all those years of working in Singapore, I could not find any meaning in any of the work I do. I was working mainly only for survival, for my bread and butter, and I did not find or see any meaning in my work. That's why I could not give much heart to my work, and I struggled in all the work with all the stresses and everything, because I could not find any meaning in what I was doing. It is only teaching yoga that gave me meaning in what I'm doing and a sense of purpose in my life. It was the only work that I do that I fully believe in, and that helped me a lot. Because when you believe in what you are doing, you enjoy what you are doing, the stress is off. And when the stress is off, someone with my condition will be able to cope and manage better. So I had the center for 1.5 years, and then suddenly I was going through a course, I went through a lot. I attended a lot of free courses in KL. Where they taught me about financial freedom, about abundance and all that. And when I was attending one of those courses in KL, I found a lump in my breast. And at that point in time, I sensed into the energy in my body, and my intuition told me I was very sure it was cancer, even without going to the doctor. So after going through the biopsy, it was confirmed that I had breast cancer. It provided me with a lot of information about the conservative treatment for cancer, as well as the natural treatment for cancer. And I found out that I decided to go for natural healing. And I went for natural healing. I went for diet and nutritional therapy, and a group of friends gave me Reiki on a daily basis for about a few weeks. And what happened was, at that time when I had cancer, I was quite calm actually. I was not stricken by panic or fear, but in my heart, I communicated with Kuan Yin Bodhisattva. I told Kuan Yin Bodhisattva in my heart, I said, if it's meant for me to go, I will go happily with you. But if you are meant for me to stay, I will continue to stay on. And on hindsight, I realized why she wanted me to stay on is to help others and other people, because through my experience in life. So I managed to overcome all that, and I did not have a recurrence of cancer up to now. So in my life, many people have helped me. Even though I had very heavy negative karma ripening from past lives into this life, I was blessed with many good friends I had many spiritual family outside of my family. Even people from other faiths and religions come to my aid. Muslims, Hindus, Christians, a lot of my spiritual family, Buddhists and non-Buddhists, they treat me like their spiritual family, and they help me and they shower me with a lot of compassion, a lot of kindness and care. And they help me, and I receive a number of many scholarships in my life, helping me to go through all my difficulties. And whatever happens in your life, regardless how difficult, how painful, and how many times you have to fall down and pick yourself up, if life hits you 1 million times, please get up 1,000,001 times on your own feet, through the help of others, not just through your own help, but remember to reach out for help to the people around you to help get you on your own feet. It is not a sign of weakness to ask for help. It is a sign of strength, because you know we are all interconnected and no one can be completely alone or independent by himself or herself. So always have hope regardless of whatever difficulty you have in your life. Always reach out for help. Take care of yourself, have self-care. Remember that whatever difficulty you go through, it has a meaning and purpose. So whatever difficulty you are going through in your life, remember to ask yourself, what is the lesson am I supposed to learn from this? What lesson am I supposed to learn from this? Everything we need will always come to us. And so yoga has given me a lot of meaning. Without yoga, earn very little on yoga, but I never forget how much yoga has helped me. And teaching yoga has given me so much meaning and purpose, because it's helping myself and helping others. And even though you find that you cannot practice very much in your spiritual path, never give up. Find all the ways and means to help yourself, not just confine yourself to Dharma practice alone. That's how I managed to help myself, because I went to learn and find out all kinds of healing modalities, spiritual techniques in and out of Buddhism to help myself. And not just knocking on one door, I kept knocking on every single door that I can find to help myself. Okay, thank you very much for your